I do not believe in balance. So imagine you have 5 things to do with 100% of your day. That means you have to allocate 20% to each one.
Yes.
Life doesn't work like that. And when we try to balance, we end up feeling guilty because we have to give equally, but the results don't require that. So what I like to tell people to embrace is harmony. I think we need to acknowledge our void, because sometimes you just say, I'm not happy, I don't feel good. But as I said, you have to get specific, like what doesn't feel good?
Yes.
And it probably goes back to that whole accomplishment thing, right? Where you attach your self-worth to doing, but in reality, our self-worth isn't naturally attached to that. So then we reach the pinnacle of everything, and then we still don't feel good. So we would really sit back and be like, what were the core foundations of your humanity? What even made you feel inspired to go into this business? And how do we now see that root and bring it into where you are and meet yourself there?
Toks Ayinla is a strategist, speaker, author, and storyteller, helping people navigate one of life's most important journeys, becoming who they're meant to be. Across Africa and North America, she has worked with organizations including NBA Africa, BMO, CIBC, Right to Play, and the Toronto Business Development Center, supporting leaders, teams, and entrepreneurs through growth, transformation, and change. As the creator of the Rootworks strategic goal-setting technique, best-selling author of Through My Brown Eyes, and the founder of Eat My Art, she brings together strategy, creativity, and emotional intelligence in ways that challenge people to think differently about leadership, success, and purpose. At the center of her work is a simple question: what becomes possible when people align who they are with what they do?
Can you just tell us a little bit about your time in Kigali so far? What have you been up to?
So this is my 3rd time in Kigali. I came in the early parts of May for the Africa CEO Forum.
Okay.
Myself and a group of women who I'm part of a collective with called the Heritage Collective, we had a sideline event
Yes.
where we had a bunch of high-level women discussing mobilization, access to capital. And then we spent a little bit of time at the CEO Forum as well. And now I'm here for the BAL.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, no, you just spoke about the BAL, and I think that's how we got in contact.
Yeah.
So I just want you to tell the people your contribution to the BAL so far.
Yes, so I've been working with the BAL as a contractor since 2024, so their 4th season as a performance coach. So
Okay.
there is a program with the BAL called the Future Pros, and it's a
Yes.
group of brilliant young professionals from all over the continent who come in and get to work side by side with leaders within the organization. And I'm just their coach. So not
Okay.
physical body coach, it's mind
Mental
coaching.
coach,
So I
okay.
do personal development, career development,
Yeah.
coaching, goal setting. I'm pretty much, I'd say, their godmother. So any stress, anything they're going through, they know that they can come to me and I offer them perspectives and prepare them to continue within this industry or to take the skills that they've learned within this industry and move it to have success wherever else they go.
Okay. I think that's a good place to start. I think you talk about being a mental coach, and I think majority of the work that you've done from our observation is usually geared towards helping people discover themselves and develop themselves. But let's just talk about you for a moment,
Yeah.
right? What kind of space do you feel like you're in right now as a person? Like what kind of season would you say Talks is in right now, you know?
I'd say I'm in a space of clarity.
Yeah.
For the past few years, well, I started doing the work I do now in 2019. And prior to that, I was working in wealth management. And I just felt this push to leave and start my own thing. And when you decide to start your own thing and you don't exactly know what you're going to do, you end up kind of trying everything. Everything seems fun, everything seems viable. But I'd say in the past 2 to 3 years, I'm starting to understand that just because I can do everything doesn't mean I should.
Yeah.
And now I'm really honing in on these are the things I love to do. And instead of spreading myself thin, I'd rather just take my energy and put it into those things. And I no longer have FOMO. I think that's the part, right? Because when you know you can do a lot of things and you see an opportunity and someone's getting a shot, you're like, maybe I should like
Try.
angle that way and see what
And it's right in front of you.
Exactly, right? But now it's like, I know what I'm good at. I know what brings me peace. I know what makes me feel the most fulfilled. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting in that. So when I see opportunities, I'm like, cute, it's fun for other people. But it's not for me.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot to get there. And I really want to really talk a little bit about what that journey has looked like for you.
Mhm.
You're somebody who's done work in multiple disciplines.
Yes.
You've done work in finance. You used to have a podcast.
Yeah, I brought it back even.
You brought it back. Oh, okay, amazing. And then you also have you've done wealth management. That
Mhm.
means you've worked in finance
Yeah.
somewhere. And you're also a coach.
Mhm.
So there's so many people who are multidisciplinary. But I just want to hear from your perspective. How do you find a way to connect all of this to your life's purpose, or like the reason behind what you do?
Yeah. So the thing about me is that I love to work on the intersection of business, wellness, and creativity with
Mm-hmm.
people. And my goal or the type of people I really enjoy working with are individuals who are high performing,
Yeah.
be that like a CEO, a tech founder, someone who works in a sports ecosystem, who through the journey of the type of work they do or by the nature of the type of work they do, they tend to be so laser focused. Like I need to have success. And
Mm-hmm.
those type of people forget their humanity. So
Mm.
for me, I come in and I want to show them that not only is it important, but it's also beneficial to your bottom line for you to bring your humanity and personal wellness back into the work you do. Because
Mhm.
the more you know what you're good at, what you want your life to look like, what's important to you, your strengths and your weaknesses as a human, when you're setting goals or doing strategy within your corporation or within your business, you know yourself well enough to understand how
Yes.
best to do it for sustainability. So
Yeah.
that's really my through line. If you're a person who's ready to do good work and you want to take your humanity with you, I'm here to do that with you because for me, I think that was probably one of the hardest things when I was quitting my job to start this new thing. I felt like my identity was attached to doing and getting results.
Okay.
I'm a Nigerian child. So,
Yes.
results, results, results. But then I realized that there's a difference between being a human being and
Mm-hmm.
what you're a human doing.
Yeah.
So, what am I outside of the stuff? If the stuff doesn't really go the way I want it to, do I
Yeah.
still feel like I'm good enough, or do I only feel good enough when I'm performing and have things to show? And
Yeah.
there's danger in that. So, because I was like patient zero of working through this and I've seen how it's benefited my life, now I just want to support other people in
Yeah.
getting to that themselves.
Yeah. And I know there's been a whole journey to
Mhm.
get into this point. And I just wanted to get a sense, even from a point of curiosity.
Mhm.
You're Nigerian,
Yes.
but you're also a Canadian.
Mhm.
And I think those are two different worlds, right?
Absolutely.
And I just want to get a perspective of, because you're not taught, you didn't become the Talks who connects all of this parts of life together today. You
Mhm.
didn't just become that person. There's a whole journey that you've had to go through.
Yeah.
If you could just give us like a sense of what it felt like growing up as a Nigerian in a different culture,
Mhm.
like how you were able to find yourself,
Yeah.
and then through coming to where you are today.
Yes. So I was born and raised in Canada, but my parents were uniquely disciplined in ensuring that we had a cultural perspective of Nigeria and specifically Yoruba culture because that's
Okay.
our tribe.
Yes.
So Yoruba is actually my first language.
Oh, you can speak Yoruba.
Yes, you're very fluent.
I can't tell if you're gonna get it right because I don't speak Yoruba.
Yeah,
Anyway, but
don't worry. When you see me in the streets, let's go to Lagos. You'll
okay.
see that I can.
There's no way to tell. I would have asked you to speak it, but I
Mhm.
can't tell if you get.
Yeah, you won't even know. I could
Yeah.
say nothing. It's only
okay.
the audience who will tell you, she's lying. There's nothing there.
No
So
problem. We can go.
when we grew up with a lot of like cousins and family, there was like a really big Nigerian community in Canada in the 90s, like in Toronto. So my dad specifically was like, anyone who speaks English, Yoruba is not allowed to speak English to us.
Really?
Yeah. So we
Okay.
didn't, my sister's 2 years older than me. So when she started kindergarten, she could not speak English at all. I
Yeah.
could speak English by the time I started because she was speaking English and watching shows. So I knew a little bit. And I even have a 3-year-old nephew, Ire.
Mm.
He just learned how to speak English maybe when he was 2 because
Okay.
we did the exact same thing. So because of that, we understood like the culture, the nuances of respect. And it was interesting because in my house and in my worlds, like my family world, I was very Nigerian, but I would now step outside of the house and be
And
Canadian.
then you have to be yeah.
Yes, right. And I remember there was a time where I was with my friends, and then this auntie of mine was driving by, and she's like, Tokumbo, because that's my full name. I almost entered the ground. Like, what are you talking about? Who is that? Scary. So
Just
for
killing
me,
your steez.
yeah, there was a lot of shame around it. So my first name is actually Fatima.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I went by. Toks is the short form of Adetokumbo, and that's
Yes,
what
yes.
my family and my close people called me. So like
Mm.
even if my friends would see me at home and someone would call me Toks as a kid, I would hate it because
Mm.
it's like Africa was not cool. And
Mm.
in Canada, there's a bigger, especially in the 90s, there's a bigger Caribbean influence. There's a bigger Caribbean population. So Jamaica, all of that was cool, but Africa was perceived as like poverty, and like
Mm.
World Vision, which was this nonprofit that was always showing kids suffering,
Mm.
right? So for me, I didn't know how to fit in because yes, we're
Yeah.
all black, but you guys are saying I'm not cool. But then at 12 years old,
Yeah.
our family went to Nigeria. So I went to Nigeria for 6 weeks when I was 12, and it changed my life. That was 2004. And when we were there, that was when like Styles Plus, African China,
Uh,
Two Face, that generation, Peace Square.
yeah.
So we got like so indoctrinated into the culture, and it was easier for us to be there because we spoke Yoruba. So
Yeah.
we brought back all of these VCDs because that's what it was that time, video
Yes, yes, yes.
CDs. It was kind of like DVDs, but just with their music video. And we like absorbed and absorbed and absorbed it. And then we realized like we finally got a perspective of what like Nigeria's like. And
Mhm.
then there was less shame around the stigma of people not understanding us and things
Yeah.
like that. And through that, I've always just stayed connected to my culture because it's so important to me.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
What do you admire the most about your culture?
What do I
Yeah.
admire the
But
most?
being Yoruba and being Nigerian, because
Yes.
those are two different.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I feel like Yoruba, I love the fact that honor, especially for elders, is a really big part of the way we do life. And I think that's been a really important part of the way I do my work because a lot of the industries I'm in right now, yes, I have the mental capacity, like the educational background, but a lot of the opportunities I've received are because I treat people with honor
Mhm.
and respect, and I'm kind. And then they like me enough to ask what I do.
Yeah.
And then I happen to do something that works out with them. So that's a big one with Yoruba culture. And I'd say Nigerian culture is just like the relentlessness, like
Mhm.
the fact that we keep going and we don't stop.
I mean, it
and
shows in
we
all
work.
the things
Yeah.
you're doing at the moment.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, like with the way the economy of Nigeria is, that grinding culture in a system that is flawed doesn't work. But you can see even statistically that when
Yeah.
Nigerians leave the country and they go to a system that works and they take that ambition with them, we're unstoppable. So
Definitely.
that's what I
Yeah.
really love about both of them.
And at some point, you actually went back to Nigeria, but we're gonna get to that
Yes.
part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. But
Mm.
I think now I know, kind of get a little sense of how like your childhood and upbringing have shaped the
Mhm.
person that you are.
Yeah.
But I want to also know, like you've done quite a lot of ventures, and I just want to kind of you know see how all of those work that you've done, all of those ventures you've been a part of, what they've helped you confront about yourself. Like how have you like been able to understand yourself a lot more
Yeah.
through the work that you do, because you help other people understand themselves,
Yeah.
but how has it helped you as a person?
So initially when I started like coaching and all of the things that like the beginning of this version of myself in 2019, I was really in like a tough place. That year I went through a breakup of a long-term relationship. I quit my job and my father also passed away,
Oh,
all within a very short period of time.
that's
And it was like
intense.
every single I part of my identity that I thought was sure was like gone. And because I have always been this person who loves to support and help people, I actually went to school for psychology and economics because I wanted to be like a child psychologist. But then I realized, but I still love people. Instead of me confronting my own emotions, I wanted to do like the fake virtuous thing of helping other people.
Mhm.
So the first time, like I'd say end of 2019, I wanted to go into coaching. So because I didn't necessarily have credentials, but I knew I had the talent, I reached out to people. I'm like, whoever wants me to coach them for free for 6 weeks, come. So I remember I had a call with like two friends. And one of them, when we got on the call, she just was breaking down and she told me like these hard things she was going through. And when I got off the call with her, I was in a panic because although I wanted to help her and support her, her bringing her trauma to me reminded me that I hadn't confronted mine in a way
Yeah.
where I didn't have the emotional capacity to actually support her because I was actually still holding on to things I hadn't healed. So for a very long time, I stopped coaching and I said, I don't want to be a coach because I don't want anyone dependent on me. I'm just going to call myself a strategist. I'll give you advice and you go, you know? And
Yeah.
then it made me realize that no, you have to actually sit and heal. And that doesn't necessarily look like just confronting, it looks like time,
Yeah.
because all of those things, each one of those things individually can knock someone off their feet for 4 to
For
5
sure.
years,
Yeah.
let alone all of it at the same time. So
Yeah.
in trying to help people, I realized that you can't give from an empty cup. So what do I owe myself in trying to ensure that if this is my calling, I can do it at a level that preserves me
Yeah.
and also can support. So I remember that year, each month I would take a virtue or like a skill and work on it.
Yes.
So be it like discipline, but like not even high level discipline, like cleanliness or something, right? And I would say every day, every week in this month, I have to do A, B, and C thing.
Mhm.
Or like communication, because I was one of those people who I'm a poet. I write poetry. As a kid, I've always been like that because I have a lot of emotions, but feeling comfortable to be vulnerable and express was never really my strong suit. So I would just write it in books. So
Mhm.
even being able to understand that the people in my life who I care for and support, they want an opportunity to do that for me.
Mhm.
And what does it mean to me as a person who always feels like the fixer to have to ask for help?
Yeah.
And what does that do to my ego of letting someone know that, me too. I need somebody to help me, you know? So those were like the unlearnings I had to go through, the vulnerabilities, the
Mhm.
unpacking of my identity and my ego that
Yes.
then got me to the place where I'm open, I'm free, I'm healthy, and I can actually effectively help people now.
Yeah, and as you were speaking, the one thing that kept going through my mind was, but how do you find balance in all of this, and also the idea of self-preservation? Because I think you sound like you're an empath, and
Yeah.
you carry other people's wala,
Mm.
and just so that you can help them. But
Yeah.
I just want to understand, like, how do you find that balance? And also because that's something you teach people, but
Mhm.
how do you find it for yourself and self-preserve so that you can afford to help?
Absolutely. So for me, it's really my faith.
Okay.
So I'm a Christian and I believe that I am a vessel. So God doesn't come down from heaven and help people, He
Mhm.
uses people, right? So if this is my gift and this is my calling, I take the gift, I share with people, I receive their burdens, but then I
Yes.
release it.
Back
I
to God.
release it back to sender. That doesn't belong to me, you know? And it's so interesting that you say that because recently I had like really intense coaching sessions with a group of individuals, and it was one-on-one coaching sessions, and I had
Mm.
like 11 of them in the span of 3 days.
Mhm.
And we were crying, we were talking,
Mm.
and after I left and got back home, I had this heavy weight on me.
Mm.
Even though while I was doing it, I didn't feel that weight. Like I enjoyed it. People are like, "Oh, Tokes, aren't you tired?" I'm like, "No, I could do this all day long." Like I had 6 sessions back to back, 45 minutes each,
Yeah.
with maybe like a 10-minute break in between. And then I realized that you're carrying burdens that don't belong to you. And understanding how to release back is really that place. And then also being able to temperature check yourself. So
Yes.
I love people. People tend to think I'm an extrovert by nature because I'm bubbly and fun. But when I'm out, even though I love people, it drains me.
Mm.
So I take a lot of time to just be by myself. Like with this trip that I started with the Africa CEO Forum, there was a 5-day span between the Africa CEO Forum ending and the BAL starting.
Mhm.
I stayed in the hotel.
Mm.
I'm sorry, in my Airbnb for all 5 days. And I just gave myself like a prayer retreat,
Mm.
read my Bible, prayed, relaxed, rested so that my battery could be recharged. Cause I know that now that the BAL started, we're going to be
Very
outside.
intense.
Yeah. So I've learned like not to overwhelm myself. And I know the triggers. Like I can tell when I'm starting to feel like
Yeah.
you're reaching your brink. And I know the things like historically by understanding myself that help me decompress.
Mhm.
And I always, always make time for those things. It's top priority because if you burn out, it takes you way longer to recoup than if you take a nap
Yes.
every day.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely. I love it. Sounds like balance to me.
Yes.
And that's not something that is very easy for most people.
Mhm.
I mean, it's something you've practiced a lot, and you've gotten better at. And that takes me to something I've always wanted to ask coaches, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, what do you think people get wrong about, transformation, knowledge of self and growth. Because I think with all the information that we get online today, it seems like everyone has everything figured out.
Yep.
Right? And then you hear that and you try to implement it, or you while you're in the process of implementing, you hear another one, and then you go all the way in, and it just clogs your brain. But you're here now, and I just wanted to hear, like, what do you think we are getting wrong in our generation today with all that we're confronting as young people, and what do you think we're getting wrong about growth and transformation?
Yeah, I would say it's actually the term you've been saying, balance. I do not believe in balance.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's because if you think of balance and you think of a scale, there has to be equal parts on both sides in order for balance to be maintained. So imagine you have 5 things to do with 100% of your day. That means you have to allocate 20% to each one.
Yes.
Life doesn't work like that. And when we try to balance, we end up feeling guilty because we have to give equally, but the results don't require that. So what I like to tell people to embrace is harmony. So it's like a musical analogy. If there's a choir, there's the altos, tenors, sopranos, and everybody is part of the choir singing together. But at a certain part of the song, maybe maybe the hook or the main verse, the alto might take the lead.
Yes.
So the other ones are harmonizing, but their voices are lower because this is the solo for this person, right? And I think that's how we have to look at our lives and seasons. If I were to get married tomorrow and have a child, I would not balance taking care of a newborn baby with the same amount of energy as coaching adults who don't need me as much as this dependent child. It's harmony. And when you understand harmony, you understand that for a season, something takes precedent. You allow the other things not to die out. They're still there as like, background noise. But then eventually as time goes, you shift it forward. And I think if people were to give themselves the grace of harmony, they would not feel as guilty, because today I'm here speaking with you. There might be a friend who wanted to do lunch with me, and I was like, my priority is doing lunch. But because I'm having a podcast today and this is during lunchtime, I'm not going to feel guilty because I'm not going to skip lunch for the rest of my life. It's for today. If they understand, maybe. If they don't, whatever. But that's how harmony goes, because I can't physically, none of us can divide ourselves equally.
Equally, yes.
And it brings guilt when we have the ambition of balance and we can't do it. We constantly are in a state of feeling guilty because we can't do everything, because we've given ourselves like an impossible task to do.
Yes. And hearing you speak, I was just smiling internally, because this is a dialogue I also have with myself. In design, there's also the concept of balance, which is like when objects on a canvas or like a space sort of have like that level of harmony with each other. And sometimes you might find a very big circle surrounded by small circles.
Yeah.
Or you might find like 4 equally small circles being like tied together by one large circle. And it just seems like that's how life works in a way.
Absolutely.
Because you can be having those small circles, but it's just nice to hear that from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the same thing.
For sure.
All right, but then more importantly though, what do you think, what are some of the patterns that you see in most of the people that you coach emotionally? Because I think the work that you do, you interact with the emotions, which is something very intense. Right? But just so far, what are the biggest patterns that you've seen, or like the most repeated patterns you've seen in the people that you coach emotionally?
One is that people don't get specific enough with their desires.
Yeah.
But let me start with the first one. One, people aren't honest with themselves. So that's the reason why I do work in the way where I ask you, like, what's important to you? What do you want your life to look like? And all of this, because many of us are living lives that are the results of society, our parents, and an assumption of what's good. Many of us don't, unfortunately, get the opportunity to stop and say, this life that I've been living, that I've been in autopilot of, because the results are go to elementary school, go to high school, go to university, get your master's, start working, make money. We never stop to say, is this actually what I want or what I like? And there's a fear in that, because what happens when the answer is no?
Yes.
And where do you begin, right? So many of us are living these autopilot lives because we don't want to sit with the truth of who we are, what we are, and what's important to us. So I think when I speak with my clients and we want to do business strategy and I start with their personalities, some of them are a little bit like, hey, that's not what we came here for. But by the time we get into it, they realize that considering this and slowly shifting your life and your work to align with your humanity is beneficial. But to confront that on your own is an identity crisis. As I said, right? That who am I outside of the work I do? If I decide I don't want to do this work anymore and this is what I'm known for,
Mm-hmm.
will people love me? Even though it sounds like it doesn't make sense, like, because of course your people will love you. We know in theory that people will still care. But when we've attached our value to something, the insecurity can be really difficult. So
Yeah.
that's the first part. And then the second one is getting specific, right? Sometimes when I work with my clients and I'm like, what's important to you? They'll say supporting my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, what does that mean? They're like, I don't want them to have to worry. I said, what does that mean? Because especially on the continent, right? Like young people, there's such a strong youth population. And because sometimes our parents gave us better socioeconomic opportunities through school than they had. So you now become the first one in your family to go to college. And now everybody's looking at you as the breadwinner or the light. So you now feel this obligation, responsibility, and guilt to support. But then you have to ask yourself what support is. So one of my clients we were talking about, and they're like, I want to support my family. And I'm like, okay, what do they need? Are you planning to pay the mortgage?
Yeah.
Are you planning to buy a car? Or are you planning to become someone who is independent enough that you're no longer a dependent so they can reallocate the resources that were going to you into the rest of the family?
Yeah.
And he sat there and stared. And I'm like, exactly. Because each of those things actually supports. But when you understand exactly what that looks like, it makes it much easier for you to target
Yep.
versus saying, I just want to support. So now every auntie, uncle, cousin, twice removed is calling you and asking for money, and you haven't like defined what that looks like. And then you end up spreading yourself so thin and potentially even becoming resentful of
Yeah.
the support you're giving people because you haven't created realistic boundaries around what it should look like for you.
Okay. Well, that sounds interesting. And I'm glad you explained because it's something I've always wanted to know for people who operate in this space, the patterns they see. But let's talk about your reverse jackpot journey. Right. Right. Usually when you hear the word jackpot, it's usually Nigerians leaving Nigeria
Yep.
and looking for better opportunities. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a jackpot candidate, but I kind of left Nigeria,
Yes.
but for a different reason. But for you, you went back.
Yes.
You went back to Nigeria, and I think when you told me that, I thought about it for a long time. Like,
Did you?
and it was very surprising. But I just want to hear, like, what were kind of the expectations that you had, and also while you're at it, usually when people come home, and I'm also speaking from experience, you have this culture shock that you experience in your own country, like this return culture shock. So I just want you to speak to that. Like, what was the thinking behind, or not thinking, like the expectation
Yeah.
behind going back to Nigeria and trying to make a life there, and why did you
Why
not
did I
stay?
decide to do it then?
Yeah.
What happened with my Lagos talking stage? So, so 2024, my second time in Rwanda for the BAL, I met a bunch of amazing Nigerians
Okay.
that live in Nigeria. And prior to that, I hadn't been to Nigeria since 2018, so 6 years. And when I met them, they were just telling me the stuff they do. And one of the guys, he was like, when last were you here? I was like, 2018. He said, when are you coming back? I said, I don't know, maybe 2025. He said, no, come
Okay.
this year. Come this year. I said, for what? I don't know what's happening. So then I thought about it and I spoke to a friend that also lives in Nigeria. And I was like, I'm thinking of coming. So October 2024, I get a really good deal on a plane ticket because I had points like $500 for a plane ticket.
Oh,
Yeah, from Canada, round trip.
okay.
And then I was like, I don't know where I'm going to stay. So a friend is like, I have an apartment in Lagos you could stay for the month for free.
Oh, you're very lucky.
Yeah, I truly believe that when you're meant to be somewhere, the ground meets you as you walk. There's like a grace over trying to get you to where you're supposed to be. Because if you're supposed to be somewhere and it's not easy to get there, you'll panic. So, I'm saying it started easy. It didn't always stay easy because that was like, God is like, oh yeah, let me make it easy. But
you
once
to
you're
experience
inside, you'll enter fire. So I end up going for that month. And it was like life-changing. Everywhere I went, I made connections. I just felt like, when you feel like you're supposed to be somewhere, it just makes sense in an illogical way. So then December, I went back again. I had some work in Senegal. So I went from Senegal to Ghana to visit Huguette, who was a guest on your show. And then from there, went to Lagos to do Dead to December. And by the end of it, I'm like, I think I need to be here. So then I got an apartment with a friend. And all of 2025, I spent like half of the year there in and out. And when I was initially going, the arrogance I had was, okay, you've established, you do these things, you're just going to hit the ground running. People are going to see that you're great. Da, 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 da. I'm going to blow. But then the reality of things was that when you enter a market where, one, you don't know the market, and two, the market doesn't know you, it takes time for you to establish. So there's something called like the know you, like you, trust you factor.
Yes.
So I was entering a market that they needed to know me. So the first time I came in October, people were like, nice girl, whatever. And then when I came in December, I'm like, well, I think I'm serious about staying. A lot of people were like, everybody says that during the simulation of Dirty December.
Yes. Yes.
But then when they now saw me in March when it's dead season, they're like, come,
Ay,
what do you do again? Like now they're like, this girl's serious, because when we see you during creative month in October and then
Yeah.
December, so people started knowing me because I was there enough. Then they started to like me because
mhm.
my personality. And then they started asking like, what do you do?
Mm.
So while I was there, I realized that you're here to become a different version of yourself. You're here to learn about this market, because one thing I never did, though, that I'm happy about is come in thinking I had solutions to people's problems, because
Yeah.
no matter how much I can say I understand Nigeria as a Nigerian in the diaspora, what we are getting fed as the biggest issues through the WhatsApp warriors and whomever else is actually not what on the ground the
Yes.
average Nigerian
Yes.
is holding as priorities. So I came in with a very curious disposition. I didn't want to act like I knew more than I knew, but at the same time, it was different, like relational dynamics, like working with men in Nigeria. I'm
Well,
a bad
tell me more.
boys.
Tell me.
Tell you more. So I have this friend, she's my sister, and I would tell her, "Ah, I'm going to a meeting with this guy. He heard about the work I do. He wants to work with me." And she'll be like, Toks, that's not a meeting, that's a date. And I'm like, no, it's not a date. She's like, Toks, if you don't sign an MOU, if you don't leave with anything, that thing is a date. And I just could not comprehend. Like, what do you mean it's a date? But lo and behold, all of those things were dates. She said you were just sitting there. These men, they know that the way to get your attention is this your business that you're pursuing.
No,
You
the
don't
entry
want,
points.
you don't want Gucci, you don't want Louis, you want contract. So they'll sit with you and tell me about what you do while I sit across from them and they're feeding me. I love your company. She's like, Toks, you were going on dates. And I was like, because in the West, like when I
Yeah.
have a conversation with someone, I give them my word and they tell me, and we
Yeah.
go for like our coffee chat or whatever.
Mm.
Even if nothing shakes that day, I know we're moving towards it. But by the time you go on 4 dinners and lunches with the same person and all they're doing is googly eye and I wish I could put you in my pockets, you realize that this man has no intention to help you, you know,
Wow.
and then you have to figure out ways to
That's a
navigate.
new one.
Hmm.
Of all the dating strategies I've heard, this
Yes, so
this is a new unlock.
mentor angle, potential investor angle. That's what the men are using these days to get the girls that are ignorant.
Okay. Lagos men for the win.
Shout out to them.
Okay, yeah. And just on that, I mean, obviously, those things eluded you because you're not part of, like, you've not been a part of the system for a while.
Yeah.
There's this thing we call people like you in Nigeria. I don't know. We call them IJGBs.
Yes.
I just got back.
Mhm.
And for somebody who's coming to Canada, you're like one of the poster children.
I heard.
So I just want to know, like, what was that tension like? As somebody who's grown up in Canada,
Mhm.
and now you have to leave, wake up every day in Lagos.
Mhm.
Waking up every day in Lagos is a full-time job, at least from my short experience there.
Mhm.
But I just want to hear from you, like, how did you balance the reality of coming from Canada and then waking up every day in Lagos and going about your day?
Yeah. And I think one thing that's also important to know is that I've never lived away from home in my life.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever lived outside of my
Was
family
going to Lagos.
was in Lagos,
Damn.
which is just extremely intense. Like
Yeah.
people are like, Toks, but the thing about me, when I feel a conviction, I move. I think one of the things that I had to really maintain, a friend of mine that I met in Nigeria actually told me, he's like, oh, you're such a sweet and nice girl. Like, don't let Nigeria make you hard.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I realized because of the way the economy in the world is, like the world is in Nigeria, is that it's a very like transactional system, which is
Ah.
not really how I operate.
Okay.
But it makes sense, right? Because when opportunity comes and resources are finite, you have to grab that thing and make sure you collect immediately, because someone who has a conversation with you today could change their mind tomorrow, or the government could shift, or something can happen and there goes your opportunity. And because of that, I'm the type of person who, if you tell me you need something right now and I have a person, I'll give you the number. I don't even care. I don't need a kickback or whatever. But understanding that in a society where that's not the case,
Yes.
that even for me to ask someone for something, they're already waiting for like the quid pro quo of what they're going to get back.
Yeah.
So that was really difficult. And the fact that sometimes when I would just give to people because that's what I am, people would be like suspicious of me. Like,
Yeah.
she's giving me something. I'm waiting for her to now ask.
Like, what is the needs?
Exactly, right? So from that like human perspective, it was kind of difficult. But from a just systems perspective, having things not work easily. Like, in Canada, I have my car. I can just get up and go wherever I want. Calling an Uber and getting somewhere that you think the thing you're asking for should just take 5 minutes. And lo and behold, it's taking a day and a half to get something done. So the fact that the system takes a long time,
Yes.
and there's all of these, like, you have to maybe bribe someone. You just can't do it the right way and get like expedient, quick service. You have to take your time.
Yeah.
It really tested my patience. For lack of better words, it tested my patience. And then I think the other thing I had to sit with was like power dynamics.
Yeah.
At the house that I was staying at, my apartment, there were different gate men who came through, and like most of them were like younger and they were really nice, and I would treat them nice. If I have something extra, if I have like a snack, I'll give them. And then there was this gate man who came, and I'd say he's maybe like 5 years older than me. So he's not like a baba, but he's older than me, or maybe even my age. I can't tell. But I treat everyone with kindness as my baseline. And I started to realize that because I was being kind to him, he started like trying to take advantage of me. And I realized that everybody is trying to vie for power.
Yes.
So even if I'm quote unquote like the bottom, like the oppressed person in the dynamic, if there's a way that I can get power from somebody, I'm going to try to take it. So it got to the point where I would ask him to like open the gate for me. And then he would say, no, take this gate. And he would want to open the other one because I'm gentle, right?
Yeah.
And I had to realize that being kind and nice also doesn't mean you don't have boundaries and you don't know when to assert. So it got to the point where I had to be like, when I ask you to do something, do the one I said. Because he would see me, I'd get home at night, and then the next morning I'd wake up to a text at 6 a.m. How was your night? Yeah. And that's also a security risk, right? Because he knows exactly where I live. He knows that I'm there by myself. He knows my goings and comings. So there was a way I had to assert my power and let him know that I am not someone to be played with, but also do it in a way where I don't trigger his ego, because should he want to show me that he could have power over me because he's a man and I'm a woman and I live by myself and he knows my movements, he could also do that. So there was a lot of like recalibrating the way I operate to understand the nuance of like asserting my dominance, but also understanding where my power lies in the patriarchy of this society.
Yeah.
So it was mental gymnastics. I almost lost my mind a few times. My friend always says that. She's like, Nigeria chewed you and tried to swallow you and couldn't swallow you and spit you out. So we have a bit of scars, but we actually made it through.
I'm just curious, like all of the things you've said, I can relate to.
Yeah.
Especially going back every now and then. But I want to understand, like, what was the moment that you were like, okay, this is it, I'm done, I'm moving back.
Oh, okay.
Like, what was that moment where you're like, I'm going back to my father's house?
The truth is that I'm not done.
You're going for
Yes.
another talking stage, or this time is full commit?
So what happened was, I said it's a reverse jackpot. I was in a talking stage. When you're in a talking stage with a person or a country, you want to go see their behavior, understand how you
and then you're
guys
gonna
mix.
prepare yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think me and Nigeria, we're gonna go together, but it's gonna be kind of long distance. I don't think we're ever gonna live in the same city full time,
Okay.
For now. I'll never say never, but as of now, I think because of the fact that I live between two worlds, I operate as a bridge.
Okay.
Going back and forth, keeping my finger on both pulses is actually quite beneficial to my success. But when I realized that I had spent, a year and a half-ish, right, from 2024 into 2025, like here, And I redefined what my success metrics was. Okay, you've built a foundation,
Yeah.
you've built a reputation, that becomes the success metric. I did get opportunities. I spoke, I moderated some federal government events, like things opened up.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I was like, is this opening up at a pace where it's worth me not like watering and tending to my ties in
Yes.
Canada?
Yes.
And the answer was no. So for me, because that was the case, I'm like, if I come back and forth, I've established these connections and these dynamics. If there's an opportunity that comes here, I'm willing to fly back whenever.
Mm.
That became the thing. And one of the things that really made it me be final on this new level of my experience or my dating Nigeria was that I didn't renew the apartment.
Okay.
And people were like, you got an apartment, it's furnished, this is amazing. I said no, because I realized that the next level is I don't want to just come here and sit. And if I have an apartment, it's easy to come and chill and hang out, go out with my friends and have fun. But if I don't have an apartment, I just increase the cost of coming
So that
by.
will help you.
Yes. So now
You have to. You have
that's to shake.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm coming to Nigeria, it's because I'm coming to do work that's going to cover the accommodations of me
Yeah.
being there. Unless it's like I really just want to go for vacation. So
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that when I realize what my comfort zone is,
Yeah.
I pull the rug from under myself to thrust myself to the next level. So
Okay.
yeah, me and Nigeria, we still go together. It's a long distance relationship. It's cute. We like each other, but I don't know when we're gonna do full-time commitment or if ever.
Okay. I'll keep following up
Keep
that
tabs,
journey
yeah,
just
right?
to check how it's going. But just to zoom out a little bit, and I just wanted to, because a lot of people grapple with this concept of returning. There's a lot of Africans now who want to come back home, but I just want to hear your honest take on the concept of going back. Like, do you think people genuinely find belonging when they come back to Africa, or do you think it's just hype that most people buy into because of FOMO? Do you think it's actually like something effective? Like,
I think it can be effective, but there are a few gaps that are not being acknowledged. Like if we look at Dirty December, Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, even Kenya, the places people go, the reason why the young diasporans come back is for a good time.
Yeah.
To live potentially a life of opulence, because it might be shade. A lot of the Dirty December people who come back to Nigeria are getting mopo and private police. And it's like, nobody's actually trying to kidnap you.
Okay.
You're actually okay.
That.
Yeah, what? Say.
Okay. Okay. But just keep going. Yeah.
Yes. So like there's this grandiose African kings and queens angle that people come and spend money. You spend money, you do the clubbing, you flange obile, go home, and
Yeah.
it's cute and socioeconomically, it brings in money into the economy, but that money is concentrated for a short period of time within the entertainment industry.
Yes.
And a lot of, I'll say us, because I'll include myself in this, don't necessarily, or traditionally don't necessarily have a trust in investing in the continent, in our countries, because we've heard certain types of stories. Like one of the things is like children of the diaspora, when you misbehave, your parents will say, I will send you to Nigeria. So now this place is looking like a scary, torturous punishment versus what now, social media, the internet is allowing us to see it differently. But that still leaves a subconscious imprint on us that this is not a good place.
Yeah.
Another angle of that is the stories of that uncle who has been living in the West since 1991, who has been sending $500 every single month to his big sister to build him a house.
And then
15 years later, he comes.
Empty land.
If there's land, they might just take him to one property, or they built something and they put it in their own name and he has no deed or no rights, right? So there's this inherent mistrust that we've heard on that side that makes it so that even if we see the potential here, we don't necessarily trust the systems that exist for us to put our money into. And that's one of the conversations I like to have with people like Afrex and Bank and those type of people, right? Like if you guys want to do work with the diaspora, build trust, because the youth population or the young adult population up to 45, we are making bank. And that bank can come back here if there are systems that we trust instead of remittances, right? We know how much billions of dollars a year come in from the West into the continent in remittances. But if it's going towards grandma's whatever, And then one uncle says his freezer is broken and then he takes half the money. When we get here, we've been sending thousands of dollars, but there's no tangible proof of where that money has gone. So I think
Yeah.
the systems at play need to be like created in a way that they appeal to the diaspora to make us feel trustworthy in coming back here, getting a job, understanding the system, or being able to send our resources over here to invest in something that we know is backed by security so that we can do it. So it's not just it's a mindset issue, but it's also a systems and governance issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I hear all of that, and I think I agree with you 100% because a lot of people have good intentions
Yeah.
with coming home,
Mhm.
but then a lot of people also just want to, like you said, come and have fun.
But it's
Um,
cool, right?
it's
Doing
cool, yeah.
vacation in a country
Yeah.
that's yours is a good
Yeah.
vibe because I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to Mexico anyway. Why not go to
Yeah.
a place that I'm from and have a good time?
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be all we're here for. It shouldn't just
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
of vibes.
Yeah.
Lagos is not Vegas. Like, we can build things here and do
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to just look at the like your life overall.
Mhm.
Like you're someone who actually pursues whatever interests them,
Yeah.
like no matter what it takes. And that gives me the question like it makes me wonder like what exactly would you say you're looking for in general? Like where would you get to and you're like, Toks, this is it. Like I think I've achieved the balance that I'm looking for and I've kind of like I've hit the mark essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever will,
Oh,
but not in a bad way. Like I don't think you arrive.
more like the life you're trying to build for yourself
Mhm.
in a way. Yeah.
Well, the life I'm trying to build for myself is one where I do work that's impactful and I have time for what's important.
Yeah.
Right now in this season, I'm a single woman, no kids. Like I can travel the world and build these connections and do all of that. But there's going to be a season, and what I'm truly designing, like my coaching practice and the work I do for, is for it to be location agnostic. So when I meet the love of my life and I have kids, as
Yeah.
long as there's a Wi Fi connection, I can do work and still take my kids to school. I can cook, I can bake. I think that one thing I've learned is to be extremely present in my moment because I know it doesn't last long. Because there was a time where I was like, oh, this desire for like love and marriage, it never leaves. But I'm like, you're also living an answered prayer.
Mhm.
A version of me would have died to see
Yeah.
that I actually got here. And I don't want to be constantly pursuing the next thing so much that I don't stop to smell the roses or realize that I have a rose garden. So although I say that I'm always going to be striving, I am extremely content and
Yeah.
present in my moment. I let it last for what it is. One of the ways I look at life is that I don't hold anything tightly,
Mhm.
be it people, be it moments. It's an honor to be here and experience this right now. So therefore I'm present because it can go and it will
Yeah.
go. And when it goes, even if I mourn it, it's also leaving space for whatever is going to come next.
Yeah.
So although people say you do so many things, I'm like, because I like them.
Okay.
And the day I don't like it, I stop. Like, as I
Yeah.
said with the podcast, I had a podcast, Toks Talks podcast.
Mhm.
I recorded it every week, almost had 200 episodes. And one day I woke up and said, done. I stopped in 2023. And then recently I just felt this need to bring it back and to bring back another podcast. And I think I've posted 2 episodes, and it is what it is because it's not what I
Life will
am. It's
flow.
just what I do. Like everything
Yeah.
flows. Like when you're like that, you just become so peaceful and you
Yes.
become so present. So
Mhm.
right now I'm in a place where I understand and love what I do. And if I feel an itch, we'll scratch the itch
Yeah.
and we'll move from there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just listening to you, I came across something that I think for most of your work
Mhm.
with art, the podcast, some of your writings, you've actually written I think a book.
Yes.
It's an anthology, right?
Yeah, it's poetry through
it's
my
fresh.
brown eyes.
Yeah, through my brown eyes. And in all of this, I think you haven't stopped short of expressing your passion for African women and the
Mhm.
desire you have to see them be more economically empowered and
Yes.
grow. And you're actually a representation of what that looks like, right? Because I mean, you're talking about like traveling. Today you're interested in going to Nigeria,
Mhm.
and you decide to go and leave your life behind in Canada and move around. I don't think my mom was thinking about all of that in her time, right?
Mhm.
So now it means that something is getting better, and we're kind of. I think I like to look at it in the sense of we are playing with a more complete team in society today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to hear from you, as somebody who's managed to break through, the limitations of patriarchy in capitalism and economics and all of that. What do you think worked in your favor, and what could you advise people who are grappling with that question of how do I, as a woman, mark my space in society and ensure that I can have that level of agency that you enjoy
Yeah.
today as a person? Yeah.
What I would say is be prepared to disappoint people.
Okay.
I think the good girl trope of being that goodness is obedience to others and submitting and being small is what keeps us like trapped in our mind.
Yes.
I have gotten to a place, and it also came through my faith. Like the way I believe is that if God put all of this in me, it's for a reason.
Yes.
And before I disappoint God and therefore my purpose and my inner self, I'm willing to disappoint any and everybody, including my family and friends.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean I dishonor. Well, I might dishonor them because if you don't agree with someone, they have the right to take it however they want. But the way I present it is I owe myself my life to live. But with that comes the discomfort of doing that, right? Like I remember when I was in 2019 when I had my book launch after my breakup. There was a woman who came to my book launch and she was like, "Where's your boyfriend?" Because I had been dating him for a long time, like 8 years. And I'm like, "Oh, we broke up." And she looked at me at my book launch and said, "How will you not break up? All these things that you are doing, how will a man stay with you? You'll scare that man away." On the happiest day of my life that I accomplished this thing, someone told me that it is nothing because I have no
There's a
man
guy
beside
around,
me.
yeah.
And no matter how much you want to say, I don't care, I'm an independent woman, those things do plant seeds. It just becomes a matter of what do you want to be more uncomfortable about? Do you want to be more uncomfortable in your body because you're not doing the things you want to do? Or do you want to be more uncomfortable about the fact that people don't agree with you?
Yeah.
So people think that the answer is a good option versus a bad option.
Yeah.
You get to a point where the nuance is a bad option and a less worse option. I know that the life I live will scare some men away. I know that there are family members who look at me and say, "Ah, maybe if you sit still, a man will find you." I said, "No, the love of my
There
life
are
is."
some men who are interested in
I said, "The
that.
love of my life is gonna find me at an airport lounge, so it's not long." He's gonna find me in the middle of me being and doing the thing I'm meant to be. Because imagine being with somebody who you've shrunk in to be with, and then you start to burst at the seams and you resent it.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like, this is my season. Authenticity is all I can owe to myself. Because imagine if I live a life for other people and it still doesn't work. Now it's a double negative. I didn't live for myself and I still didn't get the results. But now, if
Yeah.
I'm not getting the results, but I can stand on the fact that, does this feel real, true, and honoring to me?
Yeah.
Let everything else shake the way it's supposed to shake. And that's just what it is. Sometimes you cry about it. It's sad. You like companionship and parts of the patriarchy are beneficial. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You do better. As I said, in Nigeria, a lot of these men would give me an opportunity if I had a boyfriend or a husband who they respected and they saw my competency as well. But the fact that they see my competency, but I'm single, they want to try to take advantage of that because there's nobody backing me. There's no man who, has my back. So there are these things. We have to be realistic that we live in this world, but in the meantime, I can only control what I can control. My
Yeah.
vision is my vision and I'll pursue it. And
Yeah.
eventually people will meet you when your results are inevitable.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now we're gonna get into like the final part of the conversation. So I just have one scenario for you, and then right after that to go into like a quick fire round. So imagine like I'm sitting across you, a young entrepreneur who is impressing the investors, like is blowing up the
Yeah.
numbers, and they are growing year on year, but he's falling apart inside, right? He's not finding the happiness in all of that, right? It's falling apart inside, goes home every day and just, feels empty. But then the business is performing. In that scenario, it's very hard to convince the next person that you're actually not enjoying your life. And they come to you with that level of problem. I just want to hear, like, what are you going to tell them? Like, how would you address it?
I would initially ask them, what do they feel when they go home? Like, what is the emptiness, right? Because I think we need to acknowledge our void. Because sometimes we just say, "I'm not happy. I don't feel good." But as I said, you have to get specific, like what doesn't feel good. And then I would ask them, like, before you did all of this or this business, what was your intention behind it? So I wouldn't even worry about the numbers of the metrics or even what other people think. I would sit with them and get an understanding of who they are. We might not even talk about their business for the first 3 sessions that we would have together because I don't care. It might come up in their discussion with me inevitably, but I would sit and understand who you are because there's something we need to unpack. And it probably goes back to that whole accomplishment thing, right? Where you attach your self-worth to doing, but in reality, our self-worth isn't naturally attached to that. So then we reach the pinnacle of everything and then we still don't feel good. So that's why the work I do, we bring your humanity, because when you get to that top where everyone thinks you should celebrate, it's hard for you to now complain. Because nobody has empathy for you, because you did Series A funding, 500 million, and now you're saying I can't sleep, I don't have joy. They'll slap you like this.
They'll ask you to hire
like get out, give me your life and I'll take it, right? So we would really sit back and be like, what were the core foundations of your humanity? What even made you feel inspired to go into this business? And how do we now see that root and bring it into where you are and meet yourself there?
Okay. So just to wrap up, I have like a few questions. You just need to give me one answer, and then we can just carry on. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So would you rather work from a place of discipline or from a place of purpose?
Oh my gosh. Purpose.
Purpose. Okay. Would you prefer structure or intuition in whatever you do?
Intuition.
Intuition. Okay. Do you prefer to build impact slowly or scale rapidly?
Impact slowly.
I think that's pretty obvious. Your last. Yeah. Would you prefer a strategy session or a deeply honest conversation with people?
Deeply honest conversation.
So that's how your coaching goes.
Yeah, it is. They're always shocked. They're like, we didn't talk about nothing. I said we did.
Okay. And then finally, would you prefer deep transformation or visible success?
Deep transformation all day long.
Okay. Toks, thank you so much for coming.
This was fun.
And please, whenever you're in Kigali again, please reach out. And if we're both in Lagos at the same time, I'll definitely reach out.
And if you find your way to Toronto, let me know.
Oh, I had to forget about that part. And just to close, do you have any question you want to ask the next guest? Yes. And I will start the next podcast with that question.
If there would be no consequence and no one would judge you, what would you be doing with your life right now?
Wow, you're gonna get me into trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, we'll do it. And when you watch it, just comment. Like I asked him to answer.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by Tory Branding, a communications and marketing agency helping brands tell stories that build communities, drive growth, and create meaningful connections. If you're looking to uncover the stories behind your brand, event, or organization, we'd love to hear from you. Learn more by visiting our website.